Yup, you saw it right. Michael from The Office, Steve Carell, played lacrosse. And guess what position he played? Long stick midi. Supposedly he grew a mustache his freshman year to look more intimidating. Something tells me it looked a little more funny than intimidating. Legend has it that him and his teammates made up a defense called the Bermuda Triangle, making opposing offenses disappear. I gotta say, it's pretty funny to think that Michael Scott was running around on a lacrosse field. Lacrosse may be a small sport, but there have been some crazy famous people who have played it. I'm Jake with Lax Weekly, and these are the celebrities that played lacrosse. Okay, have you ever seen this guy stuff his face on Man vs. Food? Well, it turns out that before he was eating 72-ounce steaks or 3 pounds of pancakes, Adam Richman was a pretty dang good lacrosse player. In one of his episodes, he actually went to Syracuse and wore the famed number 22, and got to throw around with some of the Syracuse lacrosse players. Supposedly, he's still a really big fan to this day. It's now definitely a goal of mine to get in a toss with Adam Richman. So believe it or not, Steve Nash used to be an excellent lacrosse player. I mean, he grew up in Canada where lacrosse has a huge influence. Supposedly he even scored 7 goals in one game. Pretty impressive for a guy who just played lacrosse for fun. When you watch Steve Nash in basketball, you can see the parallels to lacrosse. The pick and roll, the passing, the vision. I can't imagine how good he would be if he kept playing. Okay, guess what? The greatest hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, also loved lacrosse. He's quoted with saying, "I could hardly wait to get my lacrosse stick out and start throwing the ball around. It didn't matter how cold or rainy it would be, we'd be out firing the ball against the walls and working on our moves." It's pretty cool to think that one of sports' all-time greats loves lacrosse. So another celebrity who played lacrosse is David Grohl, the lead singer for the mega popular rock band, the Foo Fighters. David has said in multiple interviews that he played goalie growing up, and lacrosse was actually his favorite sport. Eventually his lacrosse career was cut short as he started touring and becoming the legend he is today. I wonder what would have happened if he would have stuck with lacrosse. By the way, you can always subscribe to the free Lax Weekly email newsletter packed with tips on how to become a better lacrosse player. I'll leave a link in the description where you can go subscribe now. Okay, so we've had an actor, an athlete, and a rock star who have all played lacrosse. It turns out that former presidential candidate John Kerry also played lacrosse. He played at Yale and at St. Paul's Prep School. If they had high school rankings back then, I wonder if John Kerry would have cracked the top 50, or at least been on a watch list. I guess we'll never know. Next up, we have Method Man. He's part of this small little hip-hop group called the Wu-Tang Clan. It turns out that before he was spitting bars and bringing the ruckus, he was pretty dang good at lacrosse. Method Man played lacrosse on Long Island, one of the hotbeds of the sport, and supposedly he's one of the greatest players in Hempstead High School history. He even partnered up with the Premier Lacrosse League to release his own rap song about lacrosse. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention the legend himself, Bill Belichick, the current head coach for the Patriots. He's probably lacrosse's most famous fan, and you can see him sporting lacrosse shirts everywhere. Before he became one of the greatest football coaches of all time, he was a captain of the Wesleyan men's lacrosse team. Belichick is a huge ambassador for lacrosse, and who knows, you might just see him at your next lacrosse game. And it's well known that one of the greatest football players of all time, Jim Brown, was also a crazy good lacrosse player. He was a first-team All-American at Syracuse and had 43 goals in 10 games as a midfielder. Not many midfielders in college lacrosse today are putting up those kinds of stats, and the stories about him are pretty legendary. Like the time when he scored a hat-trick against Army after competing in a track meet earlier in the day. I mean, imagine trying to play defense on Jim Brown. I just know that would not end well for me. Have you ever seen Waterboy, Grandma's Boy, or pretty much any Adam Sandler movie? Well, if so, you've watched Peter Dante on the big screen, and before appearing in all these films, he was a D1 lacrosse player at Hofstra. Supposedly lacrosse is his first love, and he still coaches to this day in Los Angeles. He even coached college lacrosse at Loyola Marymount University. So next time you think lacrosse is a small sport, just know that more people than you think have played it. It's pretty cool to think that people from all walks of life have lacrosse in common. Okay, that was a lot of fun. What video should I make next? I'm Jake with Lax Weekly. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.